The roar of the Persian Empire echoed across the world, from India to Ethiopia. 127 provinces were under the rule of one man, Ahasuerus, king of Persia. His palace in Susa was a monument to his greatness, but in his court a dark conspiracy was brewing, a decree that would condemn an entire people to death. Yet in the shadow of danger, God had already placed a woman on the throne. How did an orphan become a queen? How did betrayal nearly destroy an entire people? How did an invisible hand change the course of history? This is the story of a woman called for a time of crisis, a woman who faced fear and risked her life for her people. The fate of a nation hung on her decision, to speak or to remain silent. The rise of the hidden queen king Ahasuerus, drunk with glory and wine, held a massive banquet. When his queen Vashti refused his summon, his pride was wounded. Following his advisor's counsel, he banished her, creating a void on the throne. An edict was sent out. The most beautiful maidens in the kingdom would be brought to the palace, and from them the king would choose a new queen. Among the young women was a Hebrew orphan named Hadassah, raised by her cousin Mordecai. Separated from her family and taken to a world she did not know, Mordecai gave her one final instruction. Do not reveal your origin. Do not say you are a Hebrew. Keep silent. She changed her name to Esther to hide her true identity. After a year of preparation, Esther was presented to the king. Ahasuerus loved her more than all the others, and on that very day he placed the royal crown on her head. The foreigner, the orphan, became the queen of Persia, the plot of the wicked man. Meanwhile, a man was rising to power, Haman, son of Hammedatha, an Agagite and a relentless enemy of the Hebrews. The king exalted him above all the other princes, and Haman demanded that everyone bow before him. Everyone bowed, except one. At the palace gate, Mordecai remained standing. When asked why, he simply replied, I am a Jew. I do not bow to any man. The words reached Haman's ears, and his heart filled with fury. Killing only Mordecai was not enough. Haman wanted to exterminate all the Jews. He went before the king with poisonous words. O King Ahasuerus, there is a certain people scattered among all your provinces. Their laws are different. They do not obey your decrees. It is not fitting for them to remain in your kingdom. Issue an edict to destroy them. The king, without a question or an investigation, simply took his royal ring and signed the death sentence. A decree was sent to every province. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, all Jews, young and old, men and women, would be exterminated. The fate of an entire people was sealed. When Mordecai heard the decree, he tore his clothes and cried out in the streets. From every city, the weeping of the Jews rose to the heavens. Inside the palace, Queen Esther knew nothing until her servants informed her of Mordecai's distress. Mordecai sent a message back to Esther. The people are condemned. You must go before the king and plead for your people. Esther's heart pounded. Everyone knows that no one can enter the king's presence unsummoned. Whoever does so will die, she responded. And I have not been called before the king in 30 days. Mordecai sent one final, chilling message. Do not think that you will escape because you are in the palace. If you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance will arise from another place. But you and your father's house will perish. And who knows whether you have not come to the kingdom for such a time as this? Those words pierced her soul. Go and gather all the Jews of Susa. Fast for me for 3 days and 3 nights. I and my maids will do the same. And then I will go into the king's presence, even though I have not been summoned, and if I perish, I perish. The decision was made. The royal confrontation. 3 days passed. 3 days of fasting and desperate prayer. Esther, radiant in her royal robe, walked toward the great throne room. The doors opened. King Ahasuerus sat on his throne. The courtiers watched in horror. Each slow step was a gamble with her life. The king looked up. He saw her, beautiful, but with a face marked by her ordeal. The golden scepter or the sentence of death. The fate of her people hung on a single gesture. Then, the king's heart was moved. He extended his golden scepter. Esther would live. What troubles you, Queen Esther? What is your request? Even up to half the kingdom it will be given to you. If I have found favor in your sight, I come to invite you to a banquet, you and Haman." Haman's pride swelled. He had been invited to a private banquet with the king and queen. Yet his joy was instantly poisoned by the sight of Mordecai, who still refused to bow. Haman went home and ordered a massive gallows, 75 feet high, to be built. Tomorrow Mordecai would die. That same night, the king could not sleep. He had his scribes bring the book of records and read to him. They came to a forgotten account, the day Mordecai saved the king's life by uncovering a conspiracy. The king asked, "What honor was given to Mordecai for this?" The scribes replied, "None, O king." At that very moment Haman arrived, seeking permission to hang Mordecai. The king summoned him. "Haman, what should be done for the man the king wishes to honor?" Thinking the honor was for himself, Haman responded with grandiosity, "Let the man be dressed in royal robes. Let him ride the king's horse, and let the most noble prince lead him through the streets, proclaiming, 'This is what is done for the man the king delights to honor.'" The king smiled. "Excellent idea, Haman. Go now and do this for Mordecai the Jew. Do not omit anything you have said." Haman's world crumbled. With a face pale from rage and shame, he was forced to honor the man he despised. The turn of the tide. That night, at the queen's second banquet, the king repeated his offer. Haman's face turned to terror. His plot was exposed. The king, exploding with fury, stormed into the garden. When he returned, Haman was collapsed on his knees, begging Esther for his life. The king's decree was instantaneous and cold: hang Haman on the gallows he himself prepared. The guards seized Haman and dragged him out of the palace. There, on the 75-foot gallows he had built for Mordecai, Haman was hanged. The villain was defeated, but the battle was not over. The king's original decree still stood. Esther risked her life one last time, pleading with the king to revoke Haman's edict. The king could not annul a royal decree, but he could issue a new one. The Jews shall have the right to defend themselves. They may take up arms and fight against their enemies, and anyone who tries to harm them shall be destroyed. The message was sent to every province. When the appointed day came, the Jews rose up with courage. God's people prevailed. The curse Haman had pronounced turned against his own followers. Throughout the land, the Jews celebrated the great victory. They had light and gladness, joy and honor. Mordecai was exalted, becoming second only to the king. Together with Esther, they decreed that this day be celebrated forever, a festival of joy called Purim, the day when death turned into life and sorrow into joy. This story of Esther is proof that even when God seems silent, his hand is always guiding the destiny of his people. He has placed us in the right place, at the right time, for a greater purpose. What is the great purpose for which you have been brought to the kingdom?